Hi guys, Pastor James here. So 2020, we're still in it. I don't know about you, but my 2020 actually started somewhere around 2018. Get that. That doesn't make any sense to you, but it does to me. So it was around December of 2018. I was taking a shower and I looked down at the water, and it was turning brown. It was turning muddy, sandy, clay colored. And I looked at it and I thought to myself, man, I need to do this more often. No, actually, I thought, what is going on with our water? And I thought, oh, it's one of those things, with well water, sometimes you get a little dirt coming through sometimes in the water veins down beneath the rocks. And, it clears up after a while, usually does. And it definitely did not. In fact, it got worse and it got worse and it got worse. And pretty soon, believe it or not, we had sand coming through our pipes. Some of you didn't know that you can have sand coming through water pipes, but apparently it's a real thing. And so I'm chasing sand through fixtures and unplugging them and running myself ragged, trying to keep water coming through, and it's terrible. And, wife's taking the kids to go shower somewhere else. And so I have a guy come and look at it, and he's like, yeah, we could try this when it dries out. So in the summer, he tries all these things, and then I get another guy because that guy couldn't do it, and that guy never shows up. And so long story short, we go for a whole year and a half. And the only thing I can do is to haul water every other day, sometimes 2.5 days, sometimes 3, but basically my whole life has been hauling water for like a year and a half or more. And after about a year and a half or more of hauling your own water for everything that you do every single day, you're starting to feel a little thirsty, if you know what I mean. Like, hey, I'd like to have some water at my house again. Especially in February. If you've ever had a frozen water tank and it's 20 below and you're trying to heat the thing up and not melt it and trying to get some water through the pipes and it's just not happening, I'm telling you what, you can feel thirsty even in February, turns out. And I know that for a lot of you right now, because of everything that's been going on, for as long as it's been going on, some of you guys are starting to feel really thirsty. And I don't just mean physically. I mean you're feeling thirsty as in you're ready for something to come along and refresh you from the inside out. You're tired. You're feeling pretty dry. This year just seems to drag on and on and on. And I don't know about you, but maybe you've had some things like me that were kind of heaped upon this whole year that were already started. Maybe you made some bad decisions in 2019 or 2018, and you're still kind of working through the consequences of those things. Or maybe you have some health stuff that's been bugging you and crippling you, or I don't know what. Maybe you've got some friends that didn't get any nicer or friendlier during the coronavirus. Turns out the coronavirus doesn't make people friendlier. It doesn't make spiteful people nice. It doesn't make unreliable people more reliable. And so all that stuff is just heaped upon what you were already going through, and you're just ready for a breather. And I'm telling you what, a lot of people are really ready for a breather. Really, really ready for a breather right now, I'm telling you. So, I think we can all kind of say, I'm ready. I'm ready for something different. I'm ready for something new. When can we start living like life again? When can we have something real again? When can we start feeling like we're really living again? And what I want to share with you this morning is an answer to that question. Yeah, I got an answer for you. And ironically, I've come down here at the river, which is flowing pretty hard right now. Had some rain recently. Got to get myself through these rocks here without falling. But in John 4, Jesus is chilling out at, guess where? a well. And it's in the middle of the day, which, by the way, is very, very hot where he is, okay? And he's just chilling out at the well, and a woman comes along, and there's this amazing exchange with this woman. She's a Samaritan woman, and she's got a lot on her plate. She is feeling pretty dry herself, not just in the physical sense, but for some reasons we'll get into in a second. See, Jesus was Jewish, and Jewish Jesus, hanging out at this well, comes across a Samaritan woman, and there was terrible racial tension between Jews and Samaritans. Samaritans were sort of a half-breed Jewish person, Jewish people who had gone against the rules and decided, hey, I'm going to intermarry and have children with a non-Jewish person. And so you have a group of people who believe a lot of things that Jewish people believe, were taught a lot of things Jewish people were taught, but they're second-class citizens because their parents messed up. And the Jewish point of view was, well, we don't know what to do with you because you're basically unclean. I mean, you did a thing you shouldn't have done, or you're the product of somebody doing something they weren't supposed to do, and so now you're just kind of cursed. And on top of that, this woman, as you'll see, she's out hauling water in the middle of the day, the hottest time of day, as Jesus uncovers a little later in the story, because she probably doesn't want to be around other people, all the other women from the town, because of the past that she has created for herself through her relationship decisions. It turns out she's cheated and committed adultery and with a number of men, not just one or two, and so she has quite a reputation, and it's bad, and yeah, you get it. So she's there, he's there, and Jesus has the gall to ask her, could you give me a drink, please? And her response, of course, is, why are you even talking to me? Samaritans don't talk to Jews. It's just, no. What? And Jesus says this amazing thing, which begins to answer some of your greatest needs in 2020. He says this, he says, if you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. In other words, this guy would have given you running water from a stream of running, pure, awesome, clean water. It was the best water you could get from a stream. That's what he means by living water. And of course, she's staring down at this deep, deep hole in the ground, which is just kind of a reservoir for groundwater to seep into. It's kind of a seep hole, if you know what I'm talking about. You can, or if you don't, just look it up. But it's kind of a seep hole. It works. It's water, but it's definitely not the best water that you could imagine. It's a little stagnant. It's been there a while, and it probably tastes a little off. Some of you know well water can really taste off if it's not treated, and so it's just it's okay, but it's not great. And she's looking at him. She asks, "Sir," the woman said, "you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. So where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us this well and drank from it himself?" Their ancestor had dug this well out in the middle of nowhere to get water, and I'm pretty sure he spent all the time and resources he could finding the best source. This is what he came up with. You're telling me you've found something better after centuries of people living in this area. And this is what Jesus says. He says, everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I give him will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life. In other words, I have something I can give you, and it's access to something. It's access to what you most need, but it's not just a something that you need. It's like it's the best quality imaginable, and there's no end of the supply. It's a spring. It just keeps bubbling up and up and up. All you need, it's there. All you thirst for, it's there. Whatever amount you're imagining that you need, I'm telling you, I have it. I can give you access to it. I have access to it. If you just ask me, I can give it to you. But you have to ask. You have to ask. Total access, but you just have to ask. Can you imagine that? I don't know how tired you may be this year. Maybe you're fine. Maybe the whole COVID-19 thing was just a time for you to relax and re-energize and replenish. And I hope that it was. Honest, I do. But for a lot of people, this year it just needs to come to an end, and we're wondering where is there ever any relief from this, whatever this is. But Jesus is saying, I can give you something to refresh you. I can refill your cup. And it's not a temporary thing. It's not a once and done thing. It's something that you can have access to forever. Forever. Not just for the rest of your life, but it'll actually spew into the afterlife and go on and on and on. You can have access to what you need at all times. I can refresh you. I can refresh you. I have something, and it's not a something, it's actually a someone, as we find out later on in John's Gospel, the Holy Spirit, the presence of a person inside for your life, to refill you with life whenever you may need it. Now, some of you are thinking, man, that sounds great. That sounds awesome, but how come I can be a believer? Like, maybe most of you are believers, I don't know. Some of you might not be, but how can I be a believer and still I just get so tired, just worn out? How do I get in that spot if that's really true? And what I have to do to create the picture for you is just kind of finish my story. So I tried a number of things. I spent a little bit of money trying to fix things a certain way over at my house and getting the water going. And finally, I just had to suck it up. I had to spend a pile of money and drill a new well. And what's kind of cool was the well, the site for it, actually ended up being like 5 feet right in front of my doorstep. I mean, it just, boom, right there. And we drilled and like 280 feet down, we finally found water. And it was good water, really good water. It tasted great, really clean, didn't smell. I mean, so many people have problems with well water, and it was like, wow, this water is amazing. Where's this been all my life? We don't have to treat it. So what's ironic, though, is that water, all that time, was actually right there on my property, in front of my house, right under the ground. The whole time I'm chucking water, and I'm getting frustrated and tired of spending the money on gas and repairs and all that kind of stuff, tires, and that water was actually available the whole time underneath my house. But I had to make the investment. To access it. I had to tap into it. It was always there, but I had to tap into it. And I think it's the same with so many of us. Jesus says when you become a believer, if you believe in me, you have access to the Spirit of God himself inside of you, bubbling up, streams of living water, he calls it. But you can have all of the water in the world available to you. You'll still be thirsty if you don't drink. I know many people, Christian people, church people, have all kinds of things in their life kind of built in. They have scripture needle pointed in the bathroom. That's kind of a classic example. You can have Christian radio stations tuned in on your car, and you can have a church that you attend weekly, and you can have a group you go to and all that. But there's so much more, so much more to accessing the life that Jesus is talking about. And it's so easy for some of those things to just turn into wallpaper if you don't give Jesus real focus, if you don't actually ask him for what you need, if you're not actually looking for things from him, if you don't seek out the help that you need from his people, the people of God, if you don't go to them and say, hey, sometimes I need some help, sometimes I need an encouragement, if you don't look for God to do something spiritually in your life and open your life up, make a place for it, how are you gonna get what you need? What I'm challenging you to do today is to look at the places that Jesus actually makes this stream of living water available to you, and just ask, am I actually trying to get to it? Am I actually doing the work of drinking? I have it available. It's always there. He's always there. But am I actually drinking? It's kind of crazy, but so many of us have access to something right underneath the foundation of our house, and we're not making the investment to get what we most need. What if you're just a few conversations away, or what if you're a discipline away from actually being close with God and getting something from him on a daily basis? What if you're a few conversations away with good friends from getting back on track and having actual meaningful spiritual conversations where you actually get something from Jesus through another person? Maybe they give you a special word that God actually wants to speak to you. Maybe they pray a prayer. Maybe they're praying for you every single week until you get an answer for the thing that is just making your life miserable right now. How different might life be if you actually gave yourself access to Jesus in a place that you haven't been accessing it all this time, and you're just kind of going it alone? I'll be the first to say, I'm pretty good at going it alone. I can go it alone for long periods of time. I mean, I can be the Lone Ranger as good as anybody. John Wayne right here, right? But there comes a point when you get to the end of what you can do and the end of your energy, and you start to feel just kind of spiritually worn out and dry. And my experience is, it is amazing and surprising, and you always feel a little bit foolish when you actually begin to do the thing you always knew you needed to do. You always knew you needed to read something of the Word, or pray about something that Jesus teaches, or ask him for your friends, their needs, to connect with other believers. You always knew that you were supposed to do that, and you maybe kind of treated it like it was broccoli. Well, it's good for you. I just don't feel like eating it right now. And it just turned into, I don't feel like eating it tomorrow or the next day or next week either. And you feel so foolish when you actually go for it and spend, intentional time actually giving Jesus Christ your mind and your heart and your soul and your brains, okay? And he actually gives you something, a word or a refreshing encouragement, somehow makes something move, parts the seas, and you feel so relieved, but you just feel like kind of an idiot because you're thinking, why didn't I do that before? Why didn't I do that on day 1 instead of day 337? What if we as believers were the kind of people that looked to that stream of living water that Jesus spoke of first, instead of waiting? How different could our experience be? And how much more would we have to offer others who are just as thirsty and dry feeling right now? When you feel thirsty and dry, you don't feel like you have a lot to offer anybody else. You see other people and you see their need, and sometimes you feel bad for them. But when you feel like you don't have enough inside to keep on, then you just don't feel like you have much to offer anybody else. how much more would you have in you to impact the people that you see and make a real difference? Let your light shine. If you gave yourself access to that water and didn't just sit on it. That's all I have for you this morning. Pastor James, signing out.